for having me. And this is Lucy Manhattan, and you're watching Outlook Video.
Welcome to Outlook Video. I'm Gabrielle Antolovich, the board president for the Billy DeFrank LGBT Community Center. And we're here to talk about coming out as LGBT and perhaps Q. We have guests here, Lance Moore, Manuel Orozco, and BJ Fadum. And thank you for coming out at Outlook Video. So, Lance, what was your process of coming out?
For me, it was very much a process of my own self-discovery. I would learn about myself and come out to some folks about that, and then I'd go through more self-discovery and come about that, and then I'd see, oh, that's possible, and so come about that. So it was peeling off all the social layers I'd taken on and finding out who I was. So first I came out as leather or kinky, I came out as bisexual, and I finally came out as trans. So it was very much an evolution.
Each of them very radical.
Each of them very radical and feeling huge inside, but very important to me as well.
Oh, and you, Manuel?
For me, coming out as bisexual started at the age of 19 or 20. At that point, I had had experiences with both men and women, but I had my first boyfriend. And so that kind of really changed the parameters. For me, identifying for the first time as bisexual, I think it was a matter of acknowledging, the gay side. And for me, it happened on the street, making out with my boyfriend, where he kind of was like, whoa, 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 like what? And he said, well, we're in public, we're gonna get our asses kicked, pardon my French. But it never dawned on me, because I had girlfriends before, and there was never an issue about public displays of affection, but all of a sudden, that was a real thing that we need to think about. So that kind of, I think, was like the big wake-up call.
Right, and BJ?
Mine, I had an opposite coming out. It was my parents coming out to me being intersex. I had no idea that I was born intersex with ambiguous genitalia, and it had surgeries and things done. So I was 19 when my parents had my uncle, who was gay, and I was very close to, take me out and explain to me why I didn't go through puberty, why I wasn't developing like the other girls, and that they were told, make it a girl, it's easier, raise it a girl, because gender's environment, it'll be a girl. Well, surprise, I wasn't a girl.
So how do you feel now?
Complete. One of the things that I always remembered was all my life going to sleep praying, well, maybe I'll just wake up a real boy tomorrow. And when I finally had my last surgery to restore what was taken away, I woke up and my wife of 26 years turned to me and said, congratulations, you woke up a real boy.
Oh,
Which was really cool.
congratulations,
Yeah.
yes. So how was the process? You were talking about how it didn't feel safe being out publicly. So when is it not safe?
I think it's really a matter of, well, we live in a bit of a bubble here in Northern California. I think anywhere, I think in a 400-mile radius from here is pretty much unsafe territory. It just really depends on, you have to, I think it's sort of what women have to experience in terms of, I remember with my ex-girlfriend, she was always very conscious of her environment. And I said, well, why are you? And she said, well, I'm a girl, things happen to us out in public.
Exactly.
And it's sort of the same thing, I think, if you're in the LGBTQ community, you have to be on edge a little bit and just kind of mind your surroundings a little bit more.
Well, yes, and I know at the Billy DeFrank Center, when the lights went out in the parking lot, I immediately knew it was not safe, because sneakiness can happen, any homophobic actions can happen. So we fought for the city to put the lights back on. So do you have any times when it's not safe that you would tell a young person?
I think it's important for teenagers to be aware of their surroundings even more, because kids are inherently vulnerable and they're really dependent. So if you're 16 and completely dependent on your family and you think they're going to throw you out, you need to find a way to survive where you are until you're 18 or can go to college or whatever your resources
Yeah.
are. I think that's the
And
I
that's
think-
why we have the youth space.
right.
The
Yeah.
youth space available, but also I think it's even being trans becomes a real issue, whether you're trans woman, trans man. With regard to kids, you've got to know where your parents are, what religious background. If you come from a traditional conservative family, be very careful. I've heard horror stories of children, trans children,
Yeah.
intersex children being beaten by parents. And even most recently, I've had hate blogs started about me being intersex. So you do have to be careful even in this area, but be even more careful if you're outside of Northern California.
And the Bill Wilson Center just opened a safe space for young LGBTs as well. So, yes, there are times and situations. However, we find that coming out has its amazing quality of connecting us to the community. Can you give an example of that? We only have a few.
Well, I think also you can come out to a group and be very careful about where you are. So for example, a lot of problems we're having right now is foster care. So some of the kids in foster care may not be safe to come out to their foster parents, but are showing up at U Space or the
Right.
Billy DeFrank Center. And they find their support group within that and don't come out to other people.
Exactly. So there is so much to say about coming out, but the big thing is when you come out to people that know you, they are more likely to support you when it comes to voting for legislation. So right now we have the possibilities politically. So who would be fighting for equality is the people that know and love us, right?
And that's made a difference in a lot of the legislation that's gone through.
Yeah. So have you had that in your situation?
I'm a big proponent of visibility. I work on an event every year, the Trans Day of Visibility, held at the DeFrank Center, because it is so important for people to see each other reflected. And if you can see somebody else who's trans or gay or bi, it's a little safer for you to come out. And it's a little less likely you'll be discriminated against at work. There's been a lot of progress made in work environments because of these kind of visibility things and laws that change. That stuff, more and more people come out every year. It's safer every year. Healthcare has gotten so much better because of the
Yes.
visibility. So I think those are real progress.
Yeah. And I know some of my friends, I'm the first lesbian that they've ever met. And I know that they fought for marriage equality because of their relationship to me. It's the only way the issue ever came across their table, their heart.
Well, they found out that we're not monsters.
I've seen it in churches a lot too, like when there are people in a congregation who are out because it's safe at that church to be out, well then you get everybody in that congregation coming out for marriage equality rallies. I remember
Yeah.
seeing that, and that was very unexpected.
Exactly. And Manuel, you were mentioning that you discovered in yourself that it's not about having sex with women and men, it's actually having relationships that creates a bisexual identity, right?
Yeah, that was the just that final piece that I needed to kind of figure out. And once that snapped in, I'm like, okay, wait, this is what bisexuality is, and it just kind of, yeah, it all came together.
Right, and that's what it's about, is identity, not just activity. And that's the thing that the dominant culture has had a hard time understanding. And I think once we have relationships with people, then they get it. This is who we are. And we're pretty amazing.
Right. It's not what's done behind closed doors in the bedroom. That's just a small part.
Right. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Lance, do you know anyone that was changed by their relationship with you? Real quick.
I've had people, even at work, kind of go through being very questioning. When I first came out at work years ago, people were walking up and down the aisles, and then I had people come congratulate me. And then I had some of my friends at work being the ones being my allies who were correcting the other folks. And I think that spread in their lives, and who knows from there.
Exactly. So if you come out about who you are with your gender or sexual orientation or all of it, then it does impact people in a positive way, and it does change legislation because more people will vote for us. So thank you very much for joining us.